Hey everyone, Dr. Matt here, and today I wanted to talk about MRIs and the lumbar spine. So I don't know who needs to hear this, but your spine is not made of glass. It's a lot stronger than you think. So this was a study done looking at spinal degeneration in asymptomatic patients, or basically patients that weren't feeling symptoms. So they looked at 3,110 people in the study. It was a systematic review, ages 20 to 80 years old. And they were looking at the prevalence of disc degeneration, disc bulges, and disc protrusions. So as people aged, the prevalence or the percentage of those issues increased, which is part of the normal aging process. That's gonna happen. But all those people were asymptomatic, or they weren't feeling the symptoms. So from, let's say, 20 years old with disc degeneration, it was only 37% people. As they aged over time, looking at the 80-year-old group, there was 96% of them that had some form of disc degeneration. Disc bulge, same thing, 30% at 20, 84% at 80 years old. And then protrusions, finally, same thing, 29% at 20, 43% at 80 years old. So it shows you that, all right, as we age, there's gonna be some degeneration that happens. That's okay, that's normal. But all these people that on an MRI report were showing these protrusions, these bulges, these degenerations were asymptomatic and they felt fine. So it kind of tells you that the MRI is a piece of the puzzle. It helps to kind of give us an idea of what's going on, but it's not a death sentence. It's not the end all be all. How you're feeling, what bothers you, where you're feeling the pain. That's going to play a big role, especially in physical therapy. The MRI doesn't really do too much for me. It's how the patient feels. It's the communication that we have, from session to session. That's going to play a bigger role in working on the root cause and decreasing those symptoms. But it's tough. More times than not, I'll have a patient come in that had an evaluation and they were told that, all right, I have a disc bulge, and they really didn't go too much further into it. And now the patient it creates a fragile mindset where you feel like you can't do anything. Especially if the doctor is telling you, don't squat, don't deadlift, don't do this, don't do that. Now you feel like you gotta live in a bubble and you can't do anything, when it really isn't the case. Physical therapy, it happens on a spectrum where, all right, maybe you're not gonna be barbell squatting day one, but you need to squat in some variation. When you sit down on the toilet, that's a squat. When you sit down onto the kitchen chair, that's a squat. So you're doing it throughout the day. So why wouldn't you strengthen that, in physical therapy or with a trainer, so you can handle those movements on a daily basis? Maybe work on your movement mechanics, make sure you're moving efficiently and placing less stress on the spine. So again, just because you're getting an MRI that's saying that you have a disc bulge, don't freak out. Go to physical therapy, work on the root causes, and get those symptoms down. It might take some time, but consistency is the key, and there's no reason why, with time and the right healthcare provider, that you can't get back to asymptomatic. So don't freak out. Your spine is not made of glass.